Welcome to SC&M Laboratories Lab Post videos. In this video, we're going to look at how a lab order is created in Helios and how to review results. In order to create an order, it is good to review how to navigate to the Orders section in Helios. There are three ways to navigate to an order. Use whichever method makes the most sense for the situation. Most lab orders will probably be created while with the patient or while charting. In this case, the quickest access would be through the Open Encounter list. If you are not in the process of charting, the other two options would be better suited for access. To get to a lab order from the patient's chart, first click on View Patient Chart, then find the patient. Once the patient has been pulled, you should see a window similar to this one. Notice on the upper right section, there are two tabs, Patient Information and Patient History. Click on the Patient History tab. Your window should look like this, with a bunch of new tabs along the top. Click the tab named Lab Orders, and you're there. To find the lab order section while charting, you will go through the Open Encounter list. When in an open encounter, the window will look something like this. The tabs along the top are used for various parts of the encounter that might require charting. Along the left and right sides of the screen, there are other tabs that relate to other parts of the patient's chart that do not directly relate to the specific encounter. Click on the tab on the right named Orders. This should open the tab and look like this. To create a new order, click New Record. Now, let's look at how the order window looks and what you need to focus on when creating a new order. Once you've clicked New Record, the order window should look something like this. These are the areas that you will need to complete initially. Patient name, a link with the encounter, ICD codes, the ordering physician, and any students, residents, or medical assistants that are treating this patient. Don't worry about these fields. They are for lab use only. Once you've filled in the required fields, click Save. The lab order should now look like this, with a new area on the bottom half of the screen for entry. At this point, these are the areas you will need to focus on. Most tests are entered in this section. This search field looks for specially bundled codes that have been designed specifically to work with SC&M's and Helios' system. If you type something in and nothing populates, then it is likely that the test has not been created in one of these bundles. At this point, you will want to type in a description of the test you want ordered in the Notes window on the top right. This is also where you will want to include any special instructions for the lab technician, such as draw on day 21 of cycle, etc. At this point, your order should look something like this. Notice that it appears that there are redundant lines on the order. This is normal. Tests entered in the main section have been bundled to contain test codes for multiple laboratories, such as LabCorp and Sonora Quest. This allows SC&M Lab to determine where the order is sent, which is usually a step that happens when the patient presents for collection. If a test requires a source, such as the culture listed here, write the information in the specimen source section. This checkbox is used used to state is core but now says e-file. The checkbox should be checked only if a patient is not getting their labs drawn at SCNM and instead will be going to a LabCorp or Sonora Quest draw station. Both LabCorp and Sonora Quest have draw stations throughout the area for patients to get lab work collected. When a patient has a lab order that is sent with this box checked, the order is automatically filed in their system for when the patient presents. It is important to indicate which lab the patient intends to go to in the notes section when this type of situation arrives, because the order can only be sent to one lab or the other. Additionally, it is important for SCNM lab to have the insurance information on file for the patient. Not having both of these pieces of information will require the lab to contact the patient and will delay in sending the order. Once an order is finished and ready to be filed, you as a student will click Save. This saves the order and lists it as a draft. Draft orders are not considered signed by the physician and will not be honored by the lab staff. Once a physician reviews and approves of the order, they need to click Ready to Send in order to sign it. This button is only accessible to physicians and serves as the electronic signature. Here's a sample of lab orders with different statuses. The top one is signed and will be processed by the lab staff. The one below it is not signed. There are also orders that have been collected and processed, and these are listed as sent to lab. PAPs and biopsies are completely left out of the Helios system at this time. When being ordered, they must be ordered by hand. When ordering one of these, you'll need to get this form from the laboratory and fill it out manually. Now, we have covered how a lab is ordered. Let's look at how results can be viewed. Similar to navigating to a lab order, there are multiple ways of accessing lab results. Again, use the best method for the situation. When accessing results from the patient's chart, follow the same steps as when accessing a lab order, except instead of clicking on lab orders, you will now need to click on lab results. Similarly, when charting, you can access the results window right below the orders window. You can also look directly in the lab drop-down under results, but it is not recommended for most situations. When viewing results, this is what the window typically looks like. On the left is an expansion arrow, which reveals a list of the tests performed from that lab order. This is very useful when a patient has had a lot of lab results in the past to sift through, and opening them individually is cumbersome. Be aware that this will only work for labs that are interfaced directly with Helios, namely our in-house tests, LabCorp, and Sonora Quest. Notes are used primarily to convey the information from the laboratory staff. This might include testing issues, alert values, actions the lab staff has taken, such as contacting the patient, etc. Physicians may use a note to indicate that some action has been taken or to log that the report was reviewed with the patient, etc. The result itself can be accessed by clicking on the icon on the right side of the screen. This icon only shows results for interface laboratories. Clicking on this icon will open up the result window, and it should look something like this. Patient results are listed under the Observations Value column. There are two areas, If the result is out of range, it will be noted in the Abnormal Flag column. There are two areas of note beyond the results themselves. One is the icon on the right that looks like a white text bubble. The other is the icon on the right that looks like a chart. Both of these will access Windows for comparative analysis. The text bubble icon will pull up all results from that order and list any additional tests from the patient's history that compare directly with those values. The chart icon will pick out the individual tests and compare it with the patient's history on that data point. So if you clicked on the chart window, it would look something like this. It should be noted that the lab results can only be compared in this way with interface results. Furthermore, data points only compare when they are from the same interface laboratory. This patient has 2 data points for the value that was selected. If a patient once had a glucose done through SCNM's in-house lab, once had a glucose through LabCorp, and once through Sonora Quest, the data points would not compare the way that you see here. Results for non-interface labs are uploaded as PDF attachments into a lab order. If a lab order has attached results with it, it will look a little different from the interface order. There will be 2 new icons near the middle of the screen, a paperclip and a folder. Both icons give access to the uploaded document. However, it is generally recommended to use the folder icon. This is because sometimes a lab order contains more than one uploaded document. For example, a food allergy panel might contain an additional diet plan. The paperclip icon only displays the last PDF uploaded and will not show the other files. Clicking on the folder icon will bring up this window. Looks like this order has 2 files in it.